For 3 days now, a new hurricane's been running loose along the southern coast. A lady called Camille, supposedly headed toward the Florida Panhandle, but like any lady, perfectly capable of changing her mind.
The 7 a.m. bulletin from the Weather Bureau. Camille, a small but extremely dangerous storm, is now shifting westward, moving toward the Mississippi coast. Small craft should seek safe harbor.
In Gulfport and Biloxi, the emergency operating centers already have been put on full alert by Wade and Julia Geis, a husband and wife team, both local civil defense directors. Wade for Harrison County, which covers most of the Mississippi coastline, and Julie for Biloxi, its largest city. The hurricane flags go up, the warnings go out.
The Red Cross shelters are now being opened in Bay St. Louis, Pass Christian, Gulfport, Long Beach, and Biloxi.
Bring your garbage cans inside. Secure everything that's movable. All windows should be nailed and boarded.
Tides of 15 feet are expected. All residents of the low-lying areas are advised to evacuate by noon today to Hattiesburg or Jackson.
Transportation will be provided and shelter. Please bring all the things you'll actually need in shelter.
Most people take the advice to get out, and cars start streaming north. Early Sunday afternoon, Camille brushes past the mouth of the Mississippi. At first, she only blows a few shingles off the roofs. Then she begins ravaging the whole Louisiana Delta. Upriver, the levees are beginning to crumble under pressure of wind and water. Finally, at Buras, the levee breaks. Time to get out. And now the few who lingered are running for their lives, north to New Orleans and safety. By late afternoon, advance winds are touching the Mississippi coast. The slowpokes are still gassing up. 100,000 people have listened and left. Left behind, the young who think nothing can ever hurt them. The unbelievers who plan to ride it out. The sightseers. The thrill seekers. The stubborn.
It's now 6:30 p.m. Sunday in Biloxi, Mississippi, and the hurricane is really beginning to be felt here. As you can see, the palm trees are blowing, the rain is beginning to increase, and the sea is beginning to churn in the Gulf. It promises to be a long, long night in Biloxi.
CD office to rescue White. We have a call on Sandy Hook Road at Henderson Point. 3 subjects trapped in automobile.
In Gulfport and Biloxi, half a dozen trained volunteer rescue teams in heavy-duty trucks and ducks are answering the first calls for help.
We need an ambulance at the Nichols School Shelter to pick up an expectant mother. Take her to the hospital.
By 8 o'clock, power lines are falling, starting fires, and winds are whipping them out of control. Even in New Orleans, on the outer edge of the storm, Camille's beginning to cause problems. Along the Industrial Canal, another levee breaks, begins flooding part of the city.
It's 10 o'clock in Biloxi now, and the eye of the storm, they say, is still over 2 hours away. But the wind is so strong one can hardly stand up in it. The rain is torrential, streets are flooded. We are cut off from the outside world in our motel here. There is no power, everything is black.
Rescue Red to CD control.
Harrison County CD.
Already one of Gulfport's heavy-duty rescue teams is in trouble.
What's your 1020?
Rescue Red has gone out on one mission too many. Their truck is swamped in the rising tide.
To hell with the radio and the equipment. Abandon your machine.
Power poles are falling, live wires sizzling in the streets. Staying out now is suicide.
Rescue Blue and White, come home. All rescue units, come home.
At 11 o'clock, a huge tidal surge rises in front of the storm, 20 to 30 feet high. It sweeps inland with irresistible force, smashing boats, collapsing buildings, wrecking everything in its path. At midnight, the eye of the hurricane crosses east of Bay St. Louis, and winds of 200 miles an hour complete the destruction. Outside, in the wind and water, people are dying. But now, there's nothing anyone can do. They called it the American Riviera, the loveliest beach in the South. Now, hurricane winds seldom top 120 miles an hour. Camille's have reached 200, tornado intensity, but cutting a wider swath than any tornado that ever lived. From Biloxi to Bay St. Louis, everything's in shambles. Down the Delta, it's not much better. In Buras, where the levee broke, there were 6,000 homes. Now, only 6 are fit to live in. In Louisiana, the damage is enormous, but the casualty list is low. Mississippi's losing on every count. Survivors are stumbling out of the shelters, still dazed by what they've been through, and at seeing how little is left.
It's bound to be in here somewhere because all these are the houses that came from in this vicinity. They're all right in here in this neighborhood, but mine was right on the corner and I don't even see it. Yonder! That gray one yonder, that's my house.
Some are lucky, others less so.
You can't imagine devastation as complete as this. When we came over Monday, we thought we were going to still find our home. When we walked up the street and saw it level, we knew that whoever stayed would not be here.
Here lie the Richelieu apartments in Pass Christian, where some of the tenants refuse to get out.
But we'll get up on the 3rd floor. The water won't get that high.
Come in, come in. Welcome to the hurricane party.
24 people decided to ride it out at the Richelieu. 23 died when the building collapsed. One youngster floated out a 3rd floor window on a mattress and lived. Now, Camille's almost become a forgotten woman. She whips through northern Mississippi at a furious pace and then slows down, becomes just a heavy thunderstorm as she crosses into Tennessee. Then she turns east toward the Appalachians and the Atlantic. The storm rises over the Blue Ridge Mountains, runs into cold air, and torrential rains start falling. More than 27 inches in less than 6 hours. 2 to 3 feet of water for every inch of land. And suddenly, flash floods are roaring down every hill and hollow, starting landslides, smashing houses, burying people in their sleep. In the morning, every river in central and western Virginia is in full flood. The Ty, the Buffalo, Rockfish, Greenbrier, the Big and Little Kanawhas. Waynesboro is under 8 feet of water. Glasgow and Scottsville, 14. In Richmond, Governor Godwin put state civil defense in charge of all rescue and relief operations, backs them up with all the state's resources, beginning with the National Guard. The mountains tell the story. Every ravine scarred by landslide, every valley a mass of mud, and under the mud, the dead. A dozen hamlets like Davis Creek, Tyro, Massey's Mill are almost wiped out.
It just came down through this area just like an ocean wave, more or less. And these people right in here, they just didn't have a chance. It just took all these houses through here.